Hello, amazing human. Hope you're having a beautiful day. I want to share with you in this video the step-by-step guide on how to begin your inner work journey. The step-by-step guide to use to transform your life. And if you're new to my world, welcome. I'm Sonita and I'm also called the Inner Work Queen. And on this channel, we talk everything inner work, manifestation, business, money, and transformation. And I'm excited to have you here. So if this is your first time, welcome. So what is, first of all, inner work? What is inner work? Inner work is the process of healing the parts of us that are broken, deconditioning the wounded part of self, and coming back home to who we truly are. So it's a process of healing and deconditioning the wounded part of self and coming back home to our authentic true identity, who you are and who you were before you were ever conditioned, who you were before you ever knew that beliefs limits existed, who you were before you were ever wounded, who you were before trauma, before you were being told what you had to be, do, or have, and all of that. So it is what I also call, it is the transformation of the soul. It is process of transforming the soul and transforming your inner world. Now, why is this important? This is important because you have to understand that every result that you create in your life, every result that you have right now is not as a function of just the physical thing or the action. It's as a function of who you are on the inside. So your result, your physical experience of life is as an experience of your inner world. So if you want to transform your physical reality, if you want to change the things that you're manifesting, you're creating, and how you're experiencing life as a whole, you always start from the inside. So when you do your inner work, you transform your life because it is an inside out process and not an outside in process. So it is literally the work on the soul. It's the work on reconditioning and restoring the soul back to who and what you really are, the soul part of you, right? So your soul is the part of you that is made up of your mind, your will, and your emotions. Your soul, if you want to look at it, you almost look like this intermediate part between who you are as a spirit, which is between your spirit and your physical body. So your soul is made up of the mind, the will, and your emotion. So inner work is literally the process of returning and restoring back your soul to who it was before it was conditioned. So if we have to consider the mind, the will, and the emotions, it means that inner work is going to be the process of, it's going to be emotional work, it's going to be mental or mind work, and it's also going to be habit work. So this is what inner work really is, and it has to do. So inner work is done on three planes, both in the spiritual, in the mental, and emotional plane, right? So this is the planes of inner work. Now, inner work is deconditioning the wounded part of the soul, like I said, and coming back home to who you truly are as the spirit, so that you can live life from that place and create from that place of pure and authentic self, the real you, the true you. So what does inner work consist of? Now, in my work, if you want to start doing your inner work, there are four things that you're going to focus on. So if you want to do your inner work, this is the step-by-step guide that you're going to follow, right? The first thing that you're going to focus on is heal your trauma. So heal your trauma, inner healing. So first, then, what is really trauma and why is healing important? Why should you heal? The first thing is that you want to understand that when you came into this world, you were pure existence and you were pure consciousness, and you knew that you were limitless. You didn't have limitation. You didn't have stories and all of this. But trauma happened, and as a result of trauma that happened, everything about you began to shape itself, right? And anything that caused you negative emotions or feel a negative emotion is trauma. So this led me to asking the question, what is trauma? So most of the times we believe that trauma is what happened on the outside, right? It's what happened to you, is the abuse, it is the car accident, it is the insult and all of that. But trauma itself is not that, right? Trauma itself is not that. That is literally a traumatic event. Trauma itself is what happened in you, what shifted on your inside, what shifted on inside you as a result of that traumatic event or that occurrence. So if you want to begin your inner work, we want to focus on healing your trauma. So your trauma is literally anything that caused you emotional distress. Anything that has ever existed that caused you emotional distress literally causes trauma. So trauma, again, is the emotional, mental, and physical changes that happen within you as a result of that event happening. So if you want to begin your inner work, the first work is going to be, we need to heal your trauma. So how do you heal your trauma? One, identify your wounds and what are some of the traumatic experiences you've had, right? And what are your wounds? What are your inner wounds? Now, most people, we don't like this word trauma, and maybe you're like me before really doing this work, you're like, nah, I don't have trauma, I've healed. Or maybe if you have been doing mindset work, you're going to think that you've healed your trauma, but healing is a complete different game than mindset work, right? And trauma is not something big. To be traumatized doesn't mean you must have had your parent beat you or had some extreme abuse. Literally, your mom not picking you from school on time could be traumatic. Literally, your friend refusing to share their candy with you when you were young could be traumatic. So current wound that you have around your inner child. And your inner child is simply the version of you between the early ages of existence. So look back in hindsight. What are some of the things that made you feel really sad or bad or angry or feel any negative emotions when you were younger? Looking back at the younger version of yourself, and write these down, right? You're going to write down what your wounds are. What are the things that made you feel bad? So when you identify, that is the first way you're going to identify your wounds. Look back at, between the early ages of my existence, what made me feel bad? And then you're going to also look at, between maybe my adult life or my current life, what are some of the things that have really caused me some pain, right? Some deep pain. So when you identify these, you're going to identify the event, right? So those are the traumatic events. And then you're going to realize that, oh, what, like the trauma, what wound, how wounded was I really as a result of this? Like, what emotional pain did I really experience as a result of this? Now, and then the second thing, and I'm going to share with you how you're going to heal this. The second way to identify your wounds is to notice your triggers. What triggers you, right? What are the things that are currently triggering you? So a trigger is literally anything that literally touches, reminds you your wound or causes you emotional distress or in any way. Now, I know we live in a TikTok world, triggers is thrown around anymore, and everybody like, I'm triggered. And it's not really a fun thing, because the more you heal, the more you do inner work, you realize that you are not really as easily triggered anymore, right? So a trigger is anything that kind of like, if something triggers you, it causes you pain in one way or the other, and it could be subtle. This is the thing about triggers. Trigger doesn't mean you burst out in big anger when something happened. It could be something as subtle and as slim as you just feel looking at somebody celebrating their money win or celebrating something that they are married, and then you're like a little bit contracted. It's because there is a wound and there is a part of you that is hurt there. So explore your trigger, and each time they are triggered, you are going to ask yourself, but why does this trigger me? Why am I hurt in any way as a result of this? It could be because, one, there's a wound there that thing is triggering. It's almost like you're punking, you have a wound, and then somebody is punking it, right? It's like they're using their finger to punk it, and it really hurts, because it's like the wound is not healed. And because the wound is not healed, imagine a wound, a physical wound on the body that kind of like covers. It has like a cover, but deep inside it's not healed, right? So it has like, it's inside, it's not healed, it's still very fresh. So each time anything touches it, it really hurts freaking bad, as though that thing is still there. And each time you're going to be trying to protect yourself from anything from hurting that wound or to coming closer. So you're going to look at, first of all, what are the things that triggers you? And then the second thing is, what are the things that you protect yourself from experiencing? So we all have this shield, right? When we have wounds that we've not healed, like I said, we have this shield that we put, and it's almost like we are alert to make sure that nothing triggers that wound, nothing triggers that pain, to remind us of how we were rejected, to remind us of how we were abandoned, to remind us of how mom wasn't there, or the moment we were told we were not good enough, or we were judged, we were rejected, we felt like we didn't belong. So regardless of whatever it is, each time that you're trying to protect yourself, right? Like you feel like there's a need for you to defend, to protect, to shield, to avoid. I want you to notice that what is the wound that is disguising itself there. And the reason why I mentioned these three ways: one, identify maybe the things that caused you distress in your early child wound. Those will be your inner child wounds. And this could be maybe your mom not being there, your dad shouting at you, whatever it is. And the things that caused you pain in later in life, it could be breakup, it could be abuse, it could be all the adult things, right? And then going into the triggers and monitoring your triggers, and then coming into looking at what you're currently defending and your protection mechanism. Because each time you are in a protective mechanism way, maybe you're in an argument, for example, you're overly standing against like something, right? Like there's actually something that you're protecting there, and most of the time is because there's a wound that we are protecting from being hurt. There's a part of ourselves that we are using as this shield, either by avoiding or by overly defending, in order for people not to kind of like punch it. So you're going to ask yourself, what do I currently avoid? What am I currently avoiding? What do I subconsciously avoid? And this is going to be a tricky one, because at times you may not even know the things that you're currently avoiding. You may be avoiding yourself from actually making money because maybe the last time you made money, it wasn't good, or your dad made money and then disappeared, or you might be overly defending something as a result of protection of something not coming to punch that wound. So what do I currently avoid, right? And what do I currently, it could be you avoid friendship, you avoid relationship, you avoid people getting too close. Whatever that thing is, that is your wound. That is going to show you light on what your wound is. Now, when you identify what your wounds are, and this is going to be a journey, and this is going to be a process of being self-aware, right? Watching yourself, looking at yourself. The second thing that you're going to do is that you are going to actually start releasing these pains. So the way you're going to release is there are different things. So you can journal, right? You can journal the emotions you felt or you are feeling as a result of that thing, and you can journal your thoughts, right? So writing down and being journaling, like, okay, for example, in the case of triggered, each time that you're triggered, just adore that moment. So from today, embrace your triggers, love them, because they are going to shine the light on the parts of you that you may have been suppressing and that you don't know that maybe are still broken and hurt. And when you're journaling, maybe you're going to be, okay, why? You're going to question why. You are going to use what I call in my work curiosity and compassion. So first of all, you're going to be compassionate and accept and embrace that situation as it is. This could be a trauma that you experienced in the past. This could be pain that you experienced. This could be an avoidance or defending mechanism that you have, or this could be a trigger that just happened. You are going to embrace it, because one of the things that actually keeps us stuck and unhealed is the fact that we don't embrace our wounds, and we kind of like suppress it, right? And we kind of like either express it or suppress it. But it's not suppressing or expressing your wounds. It's about releasing them. And there's a difference. So in order to release, you have to first of all embrace them. You have to see them as not something bad, as not something negative, but as things that happen, probably that have caused you some pain, some wounds, and that has led you to where you are. And that all of this happened so that you could heal one day and transform the world, because in those pain is your purpose, your calling, and the work that you're meant and called to do in this lifetime. So you're going to first of all just watch these and look at these, like embrace them. And each time you're triggered, embrace the trigger. Don't just be like, oh, judge yourself. Why am I even triggered? I shouldn't be triggered. That is childish. No. Embrace that moment, accept that moment, and be happy that you have actually triggered. And each time you feel these things, when you embrace them and accept them, little by little, you're going to start releasing. So when you embrace and you accept, you're going to process, right? And the way you process is by using curiosity now. And curiosity is like, but why? Why am I feeling this pain? Why does this trigger me? And then you're going to go back, let's say, whatever happened, and maybe your mom didn't pick you up in school, you're going to be like, but why didn't mom pick me up from school? And you're going to, when you ask why and keep going, why, but why, now you're going to ask why more than one time, right? Let's say mom didn't pick me up from school because she was busy. Why was she busy? She was working. Why? She was working to provide food for me. Or your brain is going to go, why the mom didn't pick me up for school? Because she doesn't love me. Why? Because I'm not good enough. Why? Because nobody really loves me. Okay? So now you're going to, as when you keep going deeper, you're going to start noticing the beliefs, the commands, the patterns, the things that you kind of like all these experiences have created that are actually controlling your reality, right? And if, for example, it's like, I'm not lovable, I'm not good enough, in that moment, you're not just going to immediately just shift that belief, because if you do this, you're going to bypass the emotional blocks that are stored in your body as a result of the trauma. So in that moment, when that happens, what you want to do is you want to sit down and you want to release all the emotion. If you feel like crying, cry. If you feel like that I'm not good enough reminds you of something, and you can get even more curious and be like, but when was the first time I thought like this? When was the first time I was made to feel I'm not good enough? And then you're going to realize that that trigger is going to take you back to an event that maybe when you were abandoned and when you were rejected. And then you're going to start noticing how all of it is all coming down to the same thing. And you're going to realize that all of your life is coming down to the same wounds, the same limiting beliefs, and the same pattern, right? So healing your wound is so important, because almost 90% of the limiting belief that you have came from strong traumatic experiences. This is because when trauma happens, your body goes into a high emotional state. And when your body is in a high emotional state, your brain literally goes into the theta brain wave. And in that wave, any information that comes in is susceptible to go right in your subconscious mind and forms a program. And this program is so strong because they have emotions attached to them. So because these programs are formed and they have emotions attached to them, each time that you even want to shift this belief, if you don't release the emotional pain first, the emotional blocks first, it's going to be so hard for you to actually reprogram these beliefs, right? So you want to, first of all, identify your trauma and be aware of them, right? Aware of your trauma, and there's no shame about it, because we all have experienced trauma in one shape or the other. And then the second thing that you are focusing on doing is that you want to release this trauma, right? Which we have talked about. Release, allow yourself to release, feel emotions. We live in a world that teaches us that feeling your emotion is bad. And as a result, people express their emotions and they suppress their emotion. So expressing their emotion is like, if I'm angry, I have to tell you, I yell at you, I scream at you, or I insult you. I'm expressing, right? And or I repress, or I just shut it down and I don't deal with it. But releasing and processing your emotion is literally sitting with it, allowing yourself to feel the emotion, hold the emotion, and release it in a way that serves you and other people. So it's like, for example, for me, one of the best way to release my emotions, if I'm doing inner work, is I let the tears out, because each emotion that you don't feel is stored in your body, and these create emotional blocks, right? And again, when you have emotional blocks, you will definitely have mental blocks, right? So I cry, I release, or another way of releasing emotion is dancing. So this thing that you should be strong, it's just bullshit, because here's the thing. The people who are the most emotionally intelligent are the people who know how to cry. It's not about crying in public. It's not about when something annoys me now, I should just go and cry. No, if maybe we're in a conversation and something is triggered, I'm going to take note of that, right? And I'm going to still lead myself in that moment. But when I come back and I know that maybe I still hold that emotion in my body and I still feel it, I'm going to release it, right? So I release it in a safe space where I feel safe, and this could be my home. And this is why it's important to have a safe space where you do your inner work, right? Where you know you can freely do your inner work without either being judged or without any distraction. So release the emotion by dancing. Now, one of the things you see, for example, is dogs, right? Dogs and animals love shaking their body. And when they shake, they release emotions. And when you release emotion, you change your frequency. So learn to, if maybe you feel a negative emotion, you're going to notice where it is stored in your body, because each emotion is stored somewhere. For most of the people, it will be around your heart, it could be around your shoulder, your neck. Just whenever you have an emotion, it could be from past trauma, or let's say you are dealing with a trigger and it gets you to the place where you feel you're not good enough. I will imagine and scan your body, close your eye from your head to your toe, and actually realize, where is this trauma stored in my body? And you're going to realize that it's stored maybe in your chest, in your tummy, wherever it is stored. You want to acknowledge that emotion being stored there, and respect and accept it, and then release it. And the way you do this, you can close your eyes and be like, anger, I thank you so much that you've been here all this while. Thank you that you have served me up to now, and you've helped me to stay alive. But right now, I choose to release and let you go. I choose to release and let you go. This feeling of not being enough, this feeling of not having enough, because in this moment, I let you go and I release anything. And I thank you that you've been here, but right now, I no longer need you. I no longer need you because I'm in my power. And I release you, I let you go. And you imagine the thing leaving your heart, your body, wherever the part it is, and leaving. And then you can do dance, right? You can dance if it's your waist, for example, dance and shake it off, and you can put some music and dance and release. And literally, you're not just dancing mindlessly, you're being mindful. You're bringing your mind to that place, and you're dancing, and you imagine that thing leaving your body. That thing that you release is tapping, right? So you can, I use this like EFP tapping, will be like tapping the place that I know the emotion is stored. If it's stored in my heart, I'll be like, thank you. I know you've been here all this while. I know you've been trying to protect me and keep me safe, but we are safe right now. And I know I no longer need you, and I'm safe, and I let you go. I release you with love, and I release you. I am okay, right? Or whatever it is. So you release the emotion. So you release, first of all, awareness, and we've talked about second, release. And when you release your trauma, now you have to integrate. You integrate, because trauma healing is not something that you're going to do once and then it's going to be fixed. It's a journey. I always say trauma is not a destiny. Healing is not a destination. It is a journey, and it's a journey of transforming your life, inner transformation. And when you have the right tools, it helps you, because now you have space and it's easy for you to do that. And this is why I created my Inner Alchemy course. This is my inner foundation, inner work course for you if you want to begin your inner work journey, or you're already at that doing it, but you want a clear roadmap and an accelerated way to heal your trauma. In Alchemy, we are doing all the deep work. We're doing the emotional release. I give you all my tools, including my inner transformation method that not only release trauma, but reprogram your subconscious mind, regulate your nervous system, and all the things, right? So the first step, that was about inner healing. And this is this is long, because it's the foundation of inner work. When you do this part, the rest of it that I'm going to talk about is literally going to become easy. Now, the second thing that you're going to do to begin your inner work healing is to reprogram your subconscious mind. Now, the truth is, you currently have beliefs, right? And everything that you are in this lifetime is as a function of the things you believe. And your belief all the time determine your thinking, the things you're thinking, how you interpret life, and how you view life, and your emotions and your actions. So your beliefs literally is the function, it's literally 100%, like 99% responsible for all your result. And your beliefs are not in your conscious mind, they are in your subconscious. And the strongest beliefs are formed when we are in an high emotional state, like I earlier said, during trauma. And this is why healing trauma is important, because when you're able to do that first step, the second step of reprogramming becomes easier. Now, it becomes so hard to reprogram your belief when you have not done your inner healing work and you're just doing mindset work, because there's still emotions attached to the belief. And when there's emotional blocks attached to beliefs, you cannot change it easily, because it is literally a protective mechanism that your brain is using to try to keep you safe. So what you want to understand is that when there's a traumatic event, or when there's anything that causes you stress, your body registers that, right? And it creates emotional blocks. These are the things we just talked about in your body, right, to keep you safe. And then it creates now mental blocks. And these mental blocks are patterns or commands or beliefs in order to keep you from ever experiencing that thing again. So limiting beliefs are literally the things that come up in order to limit you from either do the things you're meant to do or to step into your next level potential and expansion. And why does this happen? This happens because your brain is trying to keep you safe by using this belief. Let's say, for example, you have experienced or you've seen someone when the last time they invested or the last time they had money, they were unhappy. Because you've seen that information, right? Because our brain is reprogrammed to information, and this is information when we are either in a high emotional state, when our brain is in a theta brainwave state, or through repetition. So your beliefs are formed with these three things: repetition, when your brain is in theta brainwave state, or when you're in a high emotional state. So when these happen, you literally store that in your brain, and each time that maybe you want to make money, get abundance, create abundance, what is going to happen is that your brain is going to see that abundance as danger, because if you can remember, maybe you grow up hearing and having a repeated information that, hey, money, if you are rich, you are going to be bad, or you are going to be unhappy. Or maybe you had an experience where you saw somebody really struggling or suffer and be unhappy when they were rich, and that caused you some pain, or you made that mean something. Or when you were in a susceptible brainwave state, you noticed that money kind of like created some pain. So this kind of like happened either through repetition of information, or that's how the brain is programmed again, or it's kind of like as a result of your emotional experience. So this is important because you can't really create anything if your brain, you have limiting belief around it, and your brain won't let you. It's like you will want to. So it's not about wanting it. You will want to manifest. You will want to make more money. You will want to design your dream life. But it's just going to be like, nah, we can't do that. We can't do that because no, it's not. So this is why we call limiting belief, because it limits you from your potential. It limiting you from creating the life you desire and you are capable of, and it limits you from actually living and creating your maximum potential. So how do you release your limiting belief? First of all, we want to get clear on your core beliefs. Now, if you're already doing the emotional work, which is again where you should start, as you do those work, you're going to realize something. They are the same, one and the same patterns that are going to be coming up for you. And these are beliefs. For example, maybe, why didn't mom pick me up? Because I'm not good enough. Why didn't why did my ex cheat on me? Because I'm not enough. All of this shows you that you have a core belief. The core belief running your life about yourself is that I am not enough. And I am not enough, for example, is a scarcity limiting belief. And because it's a scarcity limiting belief, it's a scarcity belief around self, right? So imagine if you already live in scarcity around yourself. It means you're coded for lack, right? Because around yourself, you believe that you are not enough. So if you believe that you are not enough, how can you ever create enough? How can you ever do enough? How can you ever have enough? You will never, right? Because everything that you're going to do is going to try to reflect that belief that you have about yourself. So we want to know, what are your core beliefs about yourself? What do you currently really believe? Now, let's not pretend, let's not assume that, oh no, I believe, I'm confident, and I'm like, no, this is not about pretending that we have it all figured out. This is about getting honest with yourself and really honest, right? And look at yourself like, what do you really deeply believe about yourself? What do you really deeply believe? What is the thought that comes up often for you? It could be, I'm not lovable, nobody wants me, I am not accepted, I am alone in this world, I am on my own. And if that is it, you're going to notice that all through your life, there are literally 2 to 3 core limiting beliefs that are controlling your life about yourself. And for me, for example, it was, I am not enough, right? And I am alone. These 2 beliefs kind of like showed up, and it showed up in me never being enough, attracting situations that is never enough, and always being in this type of it's not enough, like all of that. And I had to shift that and change that in order to step into abundance around myself. And then as a result, I could create abundance on the outside. So identify your core belief and just sit down and go maybe at a pool, sit somewhere calm, journal. What do I really believe about myself? And then the second belief you're going to identify is that, what do you believe about others? Maybe others cannot be trusted, others cannot good enough, others are not this, right? And then the third thing is, what do I currently believe about life in itself? What do you believe about life, and what do you believe about money, right? So it could be money is evil, money or whatever. No judgment on any of this. There's no judgment. It's simply awareness and being honest and seeing where you are. So if you notice that, okay, Mike, the thing here is that others cannot be trusted. Now you're going to still use that tool that we mentioned earlier, curiosity and compassion. But why? Why can others not be trusted? Well, because others are going to lie. Why are they going to? When was the first time somebody lied to you? Oh, my ex, he said things he didn't do. He cheated on me. And oh, my. Now you realize that the beliefs was actually created by a traumatic event, and it shaped your reality. So, or it could be, oh, I'm not gonna have a baby because mom told me that I was not this, or because people always tell me that. And you're going to realize that all of this always comes down to you have an emotional attachment to it. So how then do you shape these beliefs? One, you're going to use affirmation and repetition. So affirmation is not something you're going to do once, because initially when you start affirming, your brain is not going to believe it. It's going to sound like, yeah, that's stupid, but you're going to create like a routine where every day, and you're not going to try to change 10,000 beliefs at a time. No, you simply need to know your 3 core beliefs, and we are going to go all in and focus on changing just these beliefs. And if you do just this work alone, it's going to change your life. For example, if you identify that your core belief is that I am not enough, we're going to create a 3-minute practice every day where you're going to wake up, and as soon as you wake up, you're going to do the affirmation when your brain is still in that theta state, right? So your brain is in the theta brainwave state when you're about to go to bed, or when you just wake up in the morning. And during those periods, you're going to do an affirmation. And this affirmation is going to be something like, I am enough, right? I am enough, and I am enough because of just who I am, not because of what I have. I am enough because of who I am, and not because of what I do. I am enough because of who I am, and not because of what people say. I am enough because of who I am. And then you're going to say this, let's say 3 minutes practice, right? You're going to commit to this every day. Do it for a minimum of 21 days and commit to this practice every day. And just repeat these thoughts, repeat it. And the way I do it, or I still do it, is like, right, you can have something, you write it somewhere, your phone or your notepad or whatever, and yeah, every day as you just wake up, you read it out. You read it, I am enough, not because of what I have, but because of who I am. And you're not reading in your mind, you're saying it. You're sitting there as you just wake up, closing your eyes, saying it. You're reprogramming and you're repeating it for 3 minutes in the morning or in the evening, and do this every day for 21 days. When you repeat it, your brain is in that brainwave state, which is so amazing. And as you repeat it consistently, you're going to realize that when you start, it's going to seem unbelievable. It's going to seem like this is not working, like no. But when you do this, this is not just about saying things, but it's about putting your emotions when also your brain is in that theta brainwave state to it. So you're combining the repetition, the emotional state, and then the theta brainwave state. So when you're saying this repetition, your emotions has to be in it, right? So it'd be like, I am enough. You're saying it with all of your mind and your body. Each thing that you're doing without your mind is like your mind-body connection, right? You're being mindful. I am enough, not because of what I have, but because of who I am. I am enough, not because of what I look, but because of my heart. I am enough, not because of what I have achieved, but because of my worthiness as a woman. I am enough, or if your belief is I am alone, you'll be like, I am not alone. I am not alone. I am with my angels. I am not alone because my guides are working with me. I am not alone because Source, God, the universe is with me. Now, you're not just saying this. You're not saying it as affirmation. You're literally sending commands, right? So you're commanding. The reason why I use affirmation is because that is what most people are familiar with. And when you're familiar with that, then it's going to make sense to your brain, right? But in my world, we call it you're commanding. You're creating new commands. So you're commanding your subconscious. You're commanding your subconscious. In order to command your subconscious, your emotions, the theta brainwave, it has to be in the right brainwave state. It has to be there has to be energetic charge like emotions, because when your body is in high emotional state, your brain create not just mental but also emotional patterns around that thing, right? So that is the second thing, and that is the second way you can start that. Now there are different tools that I use to reprogram, and that is just one that you can start with that is going to be so easy. Remember, this is a beginner's guide, right? And this is where you start. So again, if you want more of these, I actually have a course that we are doing. It's called, by the time I'm recording, it's called Coded for Abundance. So Coded for Abundance is literally recording you, rewiring you for abundance, rewiring your brain. And this program is simply about shifting your strongest belief, changing your belief, and you're going to get all the tools and everything that you need to actually reprogram your mind. Now, again, to know more about this, you can just check in the comments, or you can send me a DM always for me to give you the direct link. Now, the third thing that you want to do on your inner work journey, I know this is a long video, but honestly, I wanted to give you all, is that you are going to shift your identity. Now, what is your identity? Your identity is your perception of self. It's an image that you have created about yourself as a result of the beliefs that you have, as a result of your emotional state, and as a result of your habits. So now we already talked about emotional work, right? So this is trauma healing work. So when you've shifted your emotional state, now we're not talking about changing your feelings. We mean your emotional state. And you've shifted your beliefs. We're not talking about your thought, but your beliefs. And then now it's time to shift your identity. So in order to shift your identity completely, you need to shift the beliefs, your emotional state, and then your habit. So in order to shift your identity, what we do in my work is that we transcend your current identity, right? And for you to embody the truth of who you are. The truth is that you are not really this human. You're not really this limitation. You are not your trauma. All in short, the truth is that all of that never really happened to the real you. The real you is a spirit. The real you is you was never wounded. The real you was never told she's not good enough. The real you was never made to feel like she's not enough, she doesn't know enough, she can't do enough, she can't be this, do that. The real you is limitless. The real you is infinite. And once you can embody this infinite being, you are going to become limitless. Now, how do you do this? The very first thing is that you need to have a clear image of who you are. So have a vision. What is she? What is your infinite self? What is the you that was never wounded? Who is the version of you that you know you truly are without all this pain, the trauma, the limitation? Who would you be if you were not told who you would be, you need to be, what you need to do, and if you were never traumatized? Who would you be if your mind was a blank sheet? Who would you be if you had no program, you had no thoughts, no beliefs? Who would you be if you had no trauma, you didn't experience anything? Who would you be? And then start showing up as that version of yourself today and every day. And you're going to notice that this version of you, it's not just, oh, I am this. It's the infinite you, it's the true you, it's the authentic you, the you that was never programmed, the you that was never limited, the you that was never traumatized, and the you that was never told she had to be small, she had to settle, and all of that. So when you're able to shift your identity, and you're not shifting your identity because you want to have something, but you truly focus on who you become, and you're shifting who you're becoming every day, there's no way your reality is not going to change, because it's about being. You be, you do, and then you have. Once you become, you're always going to have. So who would you be? Journal on that and sit on that and go into meditation on this. Who would I be if my mind was a blank slate, and if I was never programmed to believe anything, and if I didn't have any trauma? Who would you be? Maybe you will be this powerful, gorgeous goddess who is so loving, but who is so firm in her boundaries, and who knows her word, and who creates her life. Who would you be? Because that is your higher self, and that is your infinite self. And what we want to do is that you want to connect with that higher self every day. So you do a practice of, like, first of all, sitting and visualizing her, and then every day show up in life as her. So you want to connect with that version of yourself every day. Connect with her, see her, and then walk every day as her. what are the habits that she has? Are your current habits in alignment to who she is, how she acts? And what is a habit? A habit is an action that you've repeated so many times that has become part and parcel of you. So if your current action that you're taking in your life, your current habits, the time you wake up, the things you do, how you show up in life, the way you take care of yourself, all of that, is it in alignment to that? If you were never programmed, if you were never, would you show up as that? Right? Would you show up as that? And if you are not currently in alignment, and there are certain things that you have to release and let go in order to live in alignment to her and embody her, right? And shift your identity. You're going to let go of certain friends that are no longer in alignment, certain people, certain conversations, certain dressing, certain habits, certain things that you know that is not in alignment. So there's going to be a gap between you fully embodying her and who you are today. And the gap is going to be the transformation that you're going to do on yourself. And this is going to be in terms of like all the belief work, the things that, so you fully go out and be like, I'm changing this. So connect with her every day and start acting as her. Who, and when you want to do something, this is one thing I always act like, would the infinite version of me do this? Would the infinite version of you who was never told she has to be this, or was never limited, what would she do right now? It's almost like a Jesus moment, right? Where you're like, you know that thing of like, what would Jesus do? Yeah. But in that moment, it's not just about Jesus, because yes, Jesus is also a part of infinite you because he's our big brother, and you know, but it's like, who would me who was never one that do right now? So walk as her and live as her. Now, the next thing that you're going to do and focus on is regulate your nervous system. Now, I can't emphasize regulating your nervous system enough, because this is what happens. When your nervous system is dysregulated, you're either going to be in the fight, the flight, the fawn, or the freeze mode as a result of the trauma you've experienced. And again, this is still the reason why trauma healing is like the core of inner work. If you've not done your trauma, it's going to be so hard. So what is nervous system regulation? It's actually regulating your nervous system to come back to its normal, to function normally. What happens is that when you have a dysregulated nervous system, your nervous system is not functioning normally, and as a result, this disturb and disrupt everything in your body. It means that you are in survival mode, and survival mode doesn't mean that you're only in fight or flight mode, as most of us knows, right? So survival mode is literally the state of the brain where your nervous system is dysregulated, meaning that there's chemical imbalances as a result of your body feeling like it's in danger. So it's like you are feeling like there's a threat, and because there's a threat, your body literally create all these chemical imbalances in order to keep you alive, right? In order for you to be ready to fight the danger. And what happens is that when we are traumatized from childhood, and because our body doesn't feel safe and our brain doesn't feel safe, we get into this dysregulation, right? And most of the time, we can actually carry this regulation into our adulthood and literally become addicted to being in survival mode, because probably we grew up being so dysregulated and being in survival mode. For example, I grew up like in an environment where I didn't feel safe, right? So I had to be on alert all the time, and as a result, I always was in this fight mode. And with this dysregulation, I will fight and hustle and grind my way to success, but then you can't really, it's like you're just dysregulated, right? So you want to regulate your nervous system, right? So, and your nervous system dysregulation shows up differently for different people based on their dysregulated nervous system response. Some people respond when they are dysregulated, their body goes into the fight mode. So you want to imagine the fight mode being like you feel like you are in danger and you have to fight a danger. So when you are, first of all, in dysregulation, your body, again, like I said, secrete chemicals in order for you to be ready to either fight, flight, or whatever danger, depending on your situation. So fight is when you're in that, you want to fight the danger, right? So this is people who overthink, who are always, their brain is always running, they're always active, they want to hustle, they're always in this masculine energy, they're like, go, 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 go. and they're always tense, anxious, because your nervous system is dysregulated. When you have anxiety, it's because of a dysregulated nervous system, right? And you're overthinking, like you're always in this rush, right? So because your body, and this is not just you doing it, it's your nervous system. And because it's your nervous system, the only thing way you can change it is by regulating your nervous system for your body to feel like it's safe, like it's not in danger. The second way is people get into the flight mode where they just hide, right? Like it's like they're flighting, they're running away from the danger. So because you're running away, because fighting is you're fighting the danger, flight is like you're running away, and because you're trying to run away from danger, it's going to also show up differently as avoidance and just totally shutting down, avoiding the thing and all of that. And then we have the freeze. The freeze response is there when like you just stand there and you do nothing. It's like you're just in shock and you can't do anything. You can't move. You can't take action. You're just in freeze, like, ooh. And then we have the fawn. The fawn response also shows up differently as you're just there and you're just like, in this dysregulated mode. So I'm going to go more into all of this in a separate video. But why you want to regulate your nervous system is that when you have a dysregulated nervous system, you don't function normally. You're abnormal. You are going to make the wrong decision, take the wrong actions, and it's going to be total chaos. So how do you regulate your nervous system? For me, the first tool that I use in my work is breath work, right? It's breath work and meditation. So breathing regulates your nervous system. So you can do a lot of breathing, and the way I do it, if you're tense, every day, just wake up and do this exercise, right? Inhale through the nose through the count of 4. And then exhale gently through the mouth through the count of 8. So you want to inhale shortly and exhale longer. Inhale shortly and exhale longer. And when you do this, you're signaling to your brain that you are safe, right? And as you release, you're releasing on tension or fear or whatever that is there. This next exercise that you can do to regulate your nervous system is literally vagus nerve massage. So the way I do vagus nerve massage is literally like making sure that I'm doing vagus nerve activation exercises. And this will be like through stretching, yoga, or just doing something like this, right? You see, it's like I'm moving gently in my body. And then you're massaging your vagus nerve. So your vagus nerve is the nerve that is responsible for your nervous system regulation, and it connects your brain to your gut and all your body and all of that. And I'm going to do a separate video on nervous system regulation, but I wanted to add this to these because your inner work is not complete if you are not regulating your nervous system. So just have this practice that every day when you wake up, you do this breathing exercise, you release, and then you do this vagus nerve massage. You can do it for like 1 minute, right? So in order to conclude this video, we are going to do like a conclusion. Your inner work begins with you knowing your trauma. And the way you're going to do this every day, right? Start every day is, in short, is like you're going to notice your trigger. You're first of all going to identify your wounds, and you're going to notice your triggers. And then you are going to start healing these. You're going to release the pain, release the anger, release the shame using curiosity and compassion, right? Remember, using curiosity and compassion. And then you're going to reprogram your mind every day. You're going to use affirmation, repetition you're going to use command your brain, right? You're going to create new commands install new command in your subconscious using affirmation and repetition, and then being in theta brainwave state and in high emotional state. And you do this once every morning using the activity I shared with you. Then you're going to also add to your morning routine, you're also going to add the nervous system regulation breath work. You can do that for 2 minutes a day. So in total, if you're doing inner work every day, you're committing to doing your inner work and change your life in the next 21 days. You can do all these activities every day, and you're going to change your life really in less than, if you're giving yourself just 15 minutes every day, you're going to transform your life and completely change your life at the end of a month. So this is a complete guide to your inner work, and I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, let me know in the chat, and join the Inner Alchemy course if you really want to start with that deep inner healing and releasing all the things. And also, Coded for Abundance is also there, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Sending you so much love.